have a stop here in place. We can put a stop on the crude oil contract. Now, what I would do with the crude oil contract, I would usually leave, in this particular case, just over $1. So I'm going to put a stop on this trade at the 82.41 area, which gives me just over 1% of the value of the account, which I think is good to do. Now, I still see this as a potential buying opportunity in crude oil. Now, again, looking at the S&P 500 for today, we were trying to get back towards that pivot support at the 1187, but we just haven't been able to get quite back there yet. But in my opinion, we will. Now, again, everybody probably remembers that I've been talking in great detail about the S&P 500. It's my opinion that it's going to take out this 1200 mark. It actually did take it out in early Sunday trade, but it subsequently retraced back. Now, for the people out there trading the S&P 500 contracts, again, very high correlation to the Forex market. There's a high correlation to the US Canadian, the Euro US, pound dollar. All of these are a very high correlation. So with that said, again, for anybody trading the S&P 500 today in pre-market trade, only a sustained break of 1171.17 will see the pressure come off the downside. And in the days ahead, I do see the market taking out that 1200 barrier, which is, we spent a great deal of time at the 1152 area only to turn around and, take that out basically without any real difficulty. Now, the 1200 mark, that may be a little harder, but that again is left to be seen. So, these are a number of things that we're looking at. Now, if the crude oil contracts, again, if these crude oil contracts continue to hold below that pivot support, we want to look at potential longs in the US Canadian dollar. So again, correlation, the reason why I have crude oil on my platform here sitting directly beside the US Canadian pair, that's how high the correlation is. Extremely high correlation to this. So if these crude contracts hold below the 80, we're getting into pre-market again. It's 939. This little snap lower is certainly predictable. Again, a good point why you always have your stops out of that radar where the brokers are pushing the market back and forth. We want to make sure that we stay out of that. If it gets down into this 82, into our 82.41, we're fine with being stopped out. We just don't want to be stopped out on a couple of points. That would be extremely frustrating. So if these contracts hold, we'll see that U.S. Canadian, as U.S. oil, light sweet crudes moves lower, we can see that the U.S. Canadian dollar is moving higher. Now, these two are running almost in tandem, barring any economic note. So again, we want to be watching these things very closely. We want to be watching gold. We can see that gold's pulled back a little bit to 1151. All of these things play a factor in the Forex market. So looking at things, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to pull that up so everybody can see this. And I'm just going to put the crude oil contracts up and then put it right beside some of these other things so everybody can see how important it is. Gold is actually moving on its own while crude oil is starting to move lower. This could be an early warning sign that if crude oil is going to, light sweet crude is going to reverse, that suggests that gold is very toppy and shorts may be good. Now, looking at more specifically the US Canadian dollar and crude oil contracts, we can see that as this moved higher, crude oil, as light sweet crude moved higher, the US Canadian dollar moved lower. So it's very, very high correlation, almost 100%. So if this crude contract does, if this area gives way of this 83.51, and by giving way I mean a sustained break and a close below this area, then this could put some upward pressure on the US Canadian dollar. So it's very important that we remember these things and keep an eye on these multiple markets, why we're actually trading. Now, with that said, I'm going to close off the presentation here today, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some questions. If anybody has some questions on the market, I'd be happy to address those questions at this time. Now, again, I want to thank everybody for the emails and viewing the different nightly trades that I put out, and hopefully I can lend some information in telling people when to get into trades and things like that. With the Forex market, it's kind of a funny thing. We have, another thing with the Forex market, we want to try and again trade the currency pairs when that currency stock market is open. I always tell everybody that this is a very important thing, because as the stock markets are open, then real money is trading. So if we're trading the British pound US dollar, we tend to want to trade that during the middle of the night. If we're trading the Japan currency pair, we would be more inclined to trade that in the evening. Now, there's a number of different ways that this can be done, but we want to try and stay out of that intraday market volatility, or whipsaws and things like that. And the easiest way to do that is to, again, focus on trades that are taking place during the real market hours. So we're just sitting here waiting there. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take the time here to answer some of those. Now, we've got a fairly volatile day starting again in the currency markets, but we've got a slight bias to the downward, slight downside bias to the US dollar based on the analysis. And again, we're going to wait and see if that progresses throughout the week. Just keep an eye on the nightly recommended trades. I'll usually touch base on the Forex, and of course the Forex market outlook for the week, which is usually posted actually Sunday afternoon ahead of the market. So doesn't appear that we have any questions at this time. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to put this off to Darla. And once again, I want to thank Darla and TraderPlanet.com and everybody else for coming out this morning to view this.
Thank you, Greg. If the audience would wish to give Greg some applause, you have the means to do that through the raising hand icon on your screen. Just click the down arrow and you'll see an option there for applause. We appreciate Greg for his time today. You'll find the webcast on Trader Planet later this afternoon, and we've made arrangements to email the link to everyone in this audience. If you are interested in seeking further information on the Vantage Point Intermarket Analysis software, just select the Click Here link on this final slide. This will place a request with our friends at Market Technologies for free market forecasts and additional information on the trading software that Greg has featured in this presentation. This concludes today's session. Thank you for attending, and all of us here at Trader Planet wish you a profitable trading day.